Hey guys, Jessie LaBelle here with another reaction or review video of Married at First Sight Season 15 San Diego Episode 3. And I'm actually the new girl on the block when it comes to review videos. In the past, I used to argue with the TV and shout at it like if the participants can actually hear me. And so I decided to create this channel so I can have conversations with other people who like this show as well. Like I said, I'm Jessie LaBelle. I'll be reviewing Married at First Sight, which is my guilty pleasure, and I'll also have videos on travel and lifestyle. From this moment on, because today is going to be the first time I do it, I'm going to start incorporating for Married at First Sight videos douche of the day. And the douche of the day could be male or female, and you will usually find that at the end of the video. Also, I will figure out sometime within this week how to add markers to my videos so you can just go straight to the couple that you're interested in, and if there's a couple that you find extremely boring, you can just skip right on over that. And today we had a very stale episode. If it wasn't for Mitch, I don't know if we would have had any action. So I'm gonna actually leave Kristen and Mitch toward the end. Let's start off with Lindsey and Miguel. They seem to be off the bat having a really good time, really great conversation. They seem to be giggly. Both of them are smitten. I think they're gonna hit it off. We also see on Lindsey's side, she has a ton of sexual buildup for Miguel. Like I like to say, her Latino lover. He's gonna rock her socks, that's for sure. He also seems to be very in like with her. Now, we didn't get to see much else going on with these two. What did stand out to me were a couple of things. So number one, the biggest thing that happened with them, at least that I thought, was when Miguel sat down to have a conversation with Lindsey's brother and mother. What were they thinking, asking him about his religious views? I get it, that is an important topic. It definitely needs to be discussed, but not, well, one, not at that place, and two, not really with them. I mean, yeah, right, they're brother and mother, and those are important family members, but at the end of the day, Lindsey is a grown-ass woman. She needs to make her own decisions in terms of her religious views. If it doesn't bother her, if Miguel is atheist or agnostic or doesn't believe in organized religion, then it honestly shouldn't bother her brother and mother. But what should bother Lindsey is that they're bringing this up at the wedding. I mean, when I was growing up, I always heard from the adults at the time that there are a couple of things you don't discuss if you don't want to start problems, and that's politics, religion, abortion, and sports. You leave those topics out when it's a family party or when you're at work. And in this case, I thought that was a little, rude is not the right word. They just didn't think it through. If they really wanted to have that conversation, again, they should have waited for another moment. Now, we also see Lindsey having a heart-to-heart conversation with Miguel's sister. Not a lot arose from that conversation. We did find out that Miguel had a tumultuous upbringing, but that made him a stronger man. And we also find out that Lindsey as well had a tumultuous upbringing. So we'll see what happens for them. I hope that what Lindsey mentioned, I hope they don't necessarily trauma bond, but I do hope that they can work through their issues together and they can both grow emotionally also together. Miguel's friends also make sure to let Miguel know not to mess this up. And on the other hand, we see Lindsey's friends asking her if she's gonna consummate the marriage. My personal opinion is that they do have a lot of sexual chemistry building up, but I do not foresee Miguel doing that on this night. He just strikes me as a Rico Suave kind of guy. I think he'll think it through and he'll try to make it more special for the both of them. Next up, Alexis and Justin. And I'm gonna share an unpopular opinion. These two may just work out, at least based on what I saw today. However, I did post that on Twitter at Jessie LaBelle, And somebody replied to me, and they actually had an excellent point. They mentioned that a lot of these couples who start off with a really strong physical connection, they tend to fizzle out. And that is true. I mean, it's kind of like the real world slogan. Remember, when people stop being polite and they start getting real. Right now, they have nothing to go off of, pretty much just the physical. Once they move into their apartments and they start encountering challenges and really dealing with their spouse's real personalities, that's when we'll start making, I guess, a more clear decision or observation on whether they are gonna work out or not. But just based off today, what I saw, episode 3, they're going strong. At least Alexis finds him attractive. And speaking of finding him attractive, there was a moment where I was kind of like, oh my gosh, I felt like if I were watching my brother. I don't know. The vibe Justin gives me, I don't even know Justin, and I already friend zoned him, right? He just gives me that vibe. In my mind, because he's a softie, and don't get mad, this is just what I think. Because he's a softie, I automatically think that he has no game. But when he went to get the garter belt off Alexis, he just had like this whole persona to him. He was just oozing with like this sexual vibration, his facial expressions and his movements. He was ready to pounce on her. That whole celibacy thing, I think he's ready to like be done with that. I think he has it all built up. It's just been building and building and building. And tonight he's just gonna let it all out. No pun intended. Sorry, I didn't really think through my words before I said them. Anyway, Alexis, on the other hand, she also seems to really be gravitating toward Justin. She seems to be liking him. During her confessionals, she was a little tipsy, but overall, like, she likes him. I think at some point I heard Alexis say, "Don't tempt me with a good time." And then toward the end of their whole little segment, it just got really heated. So maybe these two really went for the gold on tonight's episode. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. For the most part, a lot of them, when they do consummate their marriage, they're not very upfront about it. We find out much later through someone who told someone who then told someone. She also mentioned that she had seen his picture on Hinge previously, but really we didn't get much else from them. Sasha and Nate. Sasha was just out here serving eye rolls. And I mean, I don't blame her. When I was on Twitter, I know a lot of people said that that was a red flag because she's automatically jealous. But there was just something about Nate's friend. I don't know if her name's Megan or Melissa. There's just something about the way she was talking that I kind of connected with Sasha. I don't trust her. It was just giving like friends with benefits. Like if this girl and Nate had some sort of friends with benefits relationship, or if she liked him, or like in the movies where the best friend is gonna automatically reveal if she's been in love with him all her life. That's kind of how I felt, so I don't blame Sasha. We know that if the Lifetime producers or the Married at First Sight producers included this, it's because we're gonna see this come up later in the season. So I still don't trust Nate. I really don't. There's just something about him, other than the way he acted at the bachelor party, that I just can't come to terms with. So maybe it has something to do with this girl, maybe not. Something else that I have written for these two is when Nate gets asked by Sasha's friends and sisters, what are your true intentions with Sasha? And you know, every single season, the family members and the friends ask the same question, and I don't get it. I mean, it's not like Nate's gonna say, well, you know what? Actually, my true intentions are to be a narcissistic, selfish prick and make your friend's life impossible. Like, they would never say that. Or, yeah, my true intentions are to cheat on my wife. You know, I don't know why people continue to ask that. I think a better way to get to know these people is by just having conversations with them. Like, people radiate energy just by the way they talk, the way that they, I don't know, have their facial expressions when they're describing something, when they're describing things about their lives. There's like certain key words or certain stories that you listen and you're like, oh, wait a minute, hold on a second. But just straight up asking, like, what are your true intentions? They're not gonna tell you. Like, that never works. I don't know why they do that every single time. Overall, however, these two seem to really like each other, but I think they're gonna have drama. I really do. I think they're gonna have drama because Sasha is ready to set some boundaries, and I don't know if Nate's gonna wanna comply, but we'll have to wait and see. Ben and Morgan were not on this episode. As we know, Ben got COVID, so maybe we'll see him in the next one. And now the couple that I'm going to love to hate, well, I do love to hate, is Kristen and Mitchell. And from now on, I'm gonna start calling him Mitch the Bitch after this episode. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna call him that because it's very rude and disrespectful. He's honestly just like a lackluster guy, and his personality is just so bland and like kind of mean and narcissistic. I try to like everybody at the beginning of the season and then let their actions speak for themselves. I also try to keep in mind that a lot of the things that we see on camera are edited, and there are a lot of things that don't make it to the episode. But these scenes just spoke for themselves. So let's get right into it. We see Kristen finally get her gift from her fiance, Mitch, the Grinch, on her wedding day. And so she pulls out a plant. And no lie, when I saw that, I was like, I hope there's something else in that bag. Something, I don't know, nicer. It's your wedding, dude. And there was a nice diamond ring that Kristen just loved. You see her just looking at it and about to cry. She gets really teary-eyed and emotional. Everything's great. Let's skip right on over to the wedding. So Mama Kristen starts to walk down the aisle, and Mitch is kind of like, honestly, if he could have done a double take, he probably would have. And she did look stunning, but Mitch, that's not your bride. Buddy, that's your mother-in-law. Next, we see Kristen and Papa Kristen make it down the aisle, and her dad honestly looks like he's gonna go sell health insurance, but that's not his fault. Kristen didn't let him know in time. I'm sure had she let him know that it was her wedding day, he would have put on a nice tux. His reaction to Kristen was not the reaction he had to Kristen's mother-in-law, and I think that's gonna bring a little bit of trouble later on. Anyway, so he's just standing here, emotionless, bland, boring. I'm Cuban, and for us Cubans, we say está pasmao. That means he's like, just lackluster, nothing. He gives me nothing. However, Kristen is over the moon, and I feel really bad because, as I've been saying in my other videos, she looks like she really wants it to work out. She's doing everything about her says that she's gonna be in this 120%. And I hope it doesn't come to the point where she starts bending over backwards and he kind of takes advantage of her. Finally, the friends and family start describing the bride and the groom. And his friends could have just been like, hey, you know what? Mitch, he's a bitch and he's super temperamental. Obviously, they can't say that. What they did say, though, was that he is a very passionate man. And you know what that means? That's keyword for he is really angry, over emotional, cannot hold his temper, and he will lash out with a lot of rage. Watch, wait and see. We've already seen a couple of little outbursts on his wedding day, so I can only imagine what the next few episodes are gonna bring. Then it's Mitch's turn to give his vows. And in his vows, very ironically, he says that he promises to be patient. Little does Kristen know that just 25 minutes ago, he had a meltdown and a temper tantrum. Then it's Kristen's turn to say her vows, and they are just lovely, well thought out, and filled with a lot of emotion. And then the officiant says, "You may now kiss your bride." And what does Mitch do? almost nothing. He does kiss her, but that is the most boring kiss I have ever seen. I was just like, I don't know, maybe he really wasn't feeling the physical attraction, and that's why it, like, he barely even made it to her lips. He's like, terrible. Like, why'd you do anything? You might have as well have hugged her. Anyway, so they walk right on out, and there's a little part where they ask Kristen what she thinks, and she's like, oh my God, he's great. Kristen, you don't know what we know. He is not great. He is not even close to it. Do not start putting those things in your head. Go with the flow. Just wait it out and see what he's like. Let it grow naturally. A lot of the times these couples are so in love with being in love and with the process that they don't recognize the red flags. Then they ask Mitchell what he thinks of Kristen, and this man has the audacity to say that he wasn't blown away. Mr. Mitchell, I'm sorry, but you are not Brad Pitt, you are not Tom Cruise, you are not George Clooney. You signed up for this, and the bride that you got is beautiful. It is no one's fault that you started eyeing your mother-in-law before you started eyeing your bride. Then later on in the episode, he's gonna continue to complain. This man complains about literally everything. He has the audacity to criticize Kristen for wearing a wedding dress to a wedding, which happens to be hers. He says she's not natural enough, that she's wearing heels, that she has makeup on, that she's too mainstream. She's honestly very beautiful, and she seems like a sweet girl. She seems like her emotions are all in the right place. And maybe that's why you failed in your previous relationships, because you failed to see what truly matters. Another thing that stood out to me during this episode is when Mitchell inappropriately, kind of undercover, hits on Kristen's mom. This dude right here on his wedding day approaches Mama Kristen, and he's just telling her how he was blown away when she walked down the aisle, how she's so pretty, how he thought that was the bride, and that someone had to say, no, that's not your bride, that's your mother-in-law. If Mitchell's already doing that on his first day, like, this is relationship day one with his mother-in-law, you know, like, now a family member, I can only imagine what he's going to be like when the relationship progresses and they start encountering different challenging situations. You know, a marriage is full of hurdles. You go up and down, up and down, up and down. But when things get hard, you don't go look for someone else. And he's already flirting on day one. So imagine. Meanwhile, she's talking to her friends. She's explaining to them how he's just such a great guy. She really thinks that they have a physical and emotional connection. And then we see Mitchell on the other side saying something completely different. Like, their way of interpreting this situation it couldn't be further from equal. You know, Kristen is over here thinking of butterflies and rainbows, and Mitchell's over here with a knife, just like stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. Mitchell, give yourself a chance. Give her a chance. And now it is time for Douche of the Day. And you guessed it. It is Mitch. Mitch is our Douche of the Day. And actually, I will be changing his name from Mitch to the Grinch who got married, because that's exactly what this episode should have been called. Mitch is now the Douche of the Day because he spent his whole wedding day complaining about the most silly, trivial things. He complained about Kristen wearing a dress on her wedding. Then he was hitting on Mama Kristen. He gave her a damn plant. He threw a temper tantrum. And you also get bonus points for that silly band-aid on your head, Mitchell. Anyway, let me know what you think of this episode. Do you think that all these couples are gonna make it? Which ones do you think have a higher percentage of actually saying yes on decision day and then staying married past that? Let me know also in the comments who you think is not gonna make it. As always, thank you so much for joining me on this review of Married at First Sight Season 15 San Diego. Please help me out with the YouTube algorithm gods by liking or disliking this video, leaving me a comment, and remember to subscribe to my channel for more videos like these. And remember, I will also be posting travel and lifestyle videos. Until next Thursday, bye.